Yeah, I think I'm very extroverted, and so I'm realizing like I get relaxed when I spend time with people, and so it's so easy to wind down with a house full of amazing people. I'm so excited to come home and open the door and see who's behind the door and hear what accomplishments they've had today, and just hang out with people that I really enjoy being around. I think the people and the connection adds a lot of value that is hard to kind of replicate if you're living by yourself on a daily basis, right? Like, how do you connect with five people intentionally every single day? It takes a lot of work and planning and coordinating. And with co-living, it's all available, right? We may even be taking it for granted, but it's really special to come home and be surrounded by people we love, and have that level of support and camaraderie and friendship, all in one place. Best piece of advice is like select the best people. You can't compromise on having the best people. One housemate with the wrong energy throws the whole thing off, and so there's a lot of compromises. And if you have the right people in place, like in terms of values and alignment, I think everything just like flows and works.
Christine here with another fun episode of the Coliving Code Show. Airs every Wednesday. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, ISL Furnishings, which they came on this show a little bit ago. So definitely check out their episode with two of the co-founders, Abe and Mac. They're a brand created through inner space living, and they're all about creating exciting spaces where design meets function. They've actually done quarters in Star City. So they've definitely done some big communities, some awesome stuff. You could see the pictures on their websites. Inner Space parlayed its success in commercial grade unit furniture and conceived an elevated offering. And they strongly believe in the co-living industry, which is cool. And they were founded with the mission to bring your brand to life. Their goal is to revolutionize the unit furniture experience. And driven by creativity, ISL Furnishings believe that interiors should inspire brilliance. Every venue has its own voice. They exist to clarify that voice, interpret your brand vision, and deliver quality on time, every time. And like I said, yes, they've done Star City and quarters, but they've also done smaller communities. They can do 10 beds and up. And you can definitely check them out at islfurnishings.com. So let's go ahead and launch into today's episode. So this week we are continuing our series. We are on number 4 of the Entrepreneur House in San Diego, which is where I live. Hopefully you're watching these or listening to them in order. Some of them kind of build on the earlier ones, so you can look back and listen to those. We're running all 5 of them back to back each week. And this week we are bringing on Shiv. So Shiv's been a friend of mine for a while, and he was actually the one that reached out for me to move back into the house. He was asking me if there was any females that I knew. They had a very rare opening, and I just touched down in LAX from Europe. Didn't have a place to live. Didn't know if I was going to go back to San Diego or to Los Angeles. So it was impeccable timing, and I've already been here a year. Time flies. So yes, bringing on Shiv. He has an amazing company, NeuraLace, and he's been working on it for 10 years, which is so amazing. They're actually working on chronic pain, his device, and they're almost at FDA clearance. So we talk a little bit about that. He's actually at his office during this interview, so the device is sitting there in the background. So let's launch into this week's episode. Okay, this week bringing on another housemate. This is the 4th one we're bringing on, so we're almost at all 5. This is Shiv. He's actually lived here in the Entrepreneur House the longest out of all of us. So welcome to this week's show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
Of course. So let's let everybody know your age and when you moved in and why you moved in.
I'm 33. I moved in December 2018. Yeah. And I was actually invited by the housemates at the time. They even offered to pay my like lease break because they were looking for housemates, and they thought it'd be really cool to have me in the place. I had a lease, so I wasn't really too excited at the time, but I'm really happy I did, because it was the efficiencies and the support system have been incredible in helping me focus on myself and my business. Yeah.
Awesome. So it wasn't involving any breakup, right? I know a few of the guys here.
Yeah, I mean, I had gone through that, but it was like 5 or 6 months after.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it was interesting because I was paying like 2,200 um for my old place just for the apartment, 1 bedroom apartment. And at that time for the house, it was like 1,800 with all the utilities and the chef and all that stuff. So that was a nice relief.
Yeah, oh, I bet. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And I know you're working at your office right now and your device is behind you. So I would
yeah,
love for you to tell everybody about NeuraLace.
absolutely. So I've actually been working on this company for about 10 years now. But we incorporated in 2017. But what we do is we have developed a therapy for chronic nerve pain that's non-invasive. Chronic nerve pain is one of those really difficult types of chronic pain conditions to solve. Most of the patients have unmanaged pain because everything that's available today doesn't work. One of the earliest patients I was exposed to had pain for about 2 years due to a shrapnel in his calf. And 2 weeks after I met him, he took a shotgun and blew his leg off. And so that was like the earliest kind of exposure to what the lives are like. And they often just like define their pain as like a feather-light touch feels like a blowtorch. And so that makes it even harder to treat because it's hard to make contact with the patients. They're usually at pain levels of 5 or above, and it's constant. So I was inspired after seeing what the patient went through to see if we can, come up with a therapy. I thought it would take 10 to 20 years of like MD, PhD work, all of that stuff. And to my surprise, we were able to discover and patent something within 3 to 4 months of research. And I had no clue that I was going to become an entrepreneur. I was supposed to go to med school, deferred many years in a row. And I remember taking a flight to a VC one day, and it was like the year after, like it was like 3 years in when I could no longer go back to med school. I would have to like take all the tests again and stuff. But I was super happy that because I was so excited to go pitch and talk about this opportunity. Like that was the moment I knew I made the right choice. And I bombed that pitch. It was to Coastal Ventures, but I still it didn't phase me. I was like so excited to like continue and learn and grow.
Cool. And then you're raising your
Yeah.
second round now. You're right in the middle of that process.
It's our Series A, yeah. So I've raised many iterations of our seed round. Yeah.
Nice.
But what's awesome is like I started, building this product from scratch in my apartment, and today we have like the actual device, and it's a non-invasive therapy, so it can help patients feel pain relief within 15 minutes. The standard of care today on the device side can take up to a month before they may or may not have pain relief, and that's after an invasive like spinal procedure.
Woof.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty nuts.
I know, and I miss, so me and Shiv shared an office. I worked at that same office building, and then COVID
Yeah,
hit, and then I moved back, but it was so much fun, like sharing an office with you. Our desks were like next to each
definitely.
other. That was rad.
Yeah, always fun working with you.
Thanks.
I'm
So
my most efficient when you're working from across the desk here.
I know you'd always say that. That's so funny. Yeah. So at home now, who knows? Who knows what I'll do? It's like that's like working from home is fun, but I don't know if is as fun after this many months. But cool.
Yeah,
So let me see. My next question for you is, what do you like best about co-living?
yeah. I think I'm very extroverted, and so I'm realizing like I get relaxed when I spend time with people, and so it's so easy to wind down with a house full of amazing people. I'm so excited to come home and open the door and see who's behind the door and hear what accomplishments they've had today, and just hang out with people that I really enjoy being around. I think the people and the connection adds a lot of value that is hard to kind of replicate if you're living by yourself on a daily basis, right? Like, how do you connect with 5 people intentionally every single day? It takes a lot of work and planning and coordinating. And with co-living, it's all available, right? We may even be taking it for granted, but it's really special to, come home and be surrounded by people we love, and have that level of support and camaraderie and friendship, all in one place.
For sure. And talk about Halloween. So Halloween's in a couple days. It's one of your favorite holidays. talk
Yes,
about
it is.
talk about
And
what you've done in the house.
yeah, Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. And our house is rigged with a bunch of scary spots. The entrance is now fully decorated, and we have multiple like Bluetooth speakers that play scary sounds via an app. And so there's also a motion sensor device. So when people come to our house, they get pretty scared.
Yes, yeah, you've gotten me a few times, of course. So yeah, always fun, and we always make the house very fun, no matter what the time of year. But yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
great at Halloween in the house for sure, for sure. And then I'd love for you to explain. First let's go to feedback, because I know out of everybody in this house, you love receiving critical feedback and also giving feedback. So kind of talk about why that's important to you.
Yeah, I think over my years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned that objective critical feedback is my love language. And I say that because it's not like always fun to hear it, but in terms of growth, I think good objective critical feedback is where, I get the best opportunity to grow the quickest. And so eventually, and I think Elon Musk says this a lot, but he's like, only seek out objective critical feedback. Um, the other stuff is nice, but it doesn't really give us any new information per se. And I think in our house, it's even better because we're surrounded by people that are coming from a place of love. And no matter how good we are, I've seen up until now in my years of experience in life, performing in certain areas of life, there's always some area that's not getting any attention or we're just blind to. And our subconscious plays hideaway in that area. And it's like, I don't know why I'm not growing anymore. And it's like, well, you're not working out anymore or something. It's like, oh, damn, I didn't see that, or whatever it is, And so I think feedback, especially feedback from people in our house who are all high level operators and executors, it's very, very direct, and it's usually not off base, especially when five people say echoed something similar, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm bummed that we haven't done the cards lately, where we
Yeah,
handwrite the feedback cards. So kind of everything that the person's doing great and that you like about the person, and then the backside, things that they can improve. Again, and you're right,
yeah,
some of it was hard to hear, but some of the positive things were like, oh, I had no idea that was, their opinion of me. That's really cool.
yeah. I think those cards are great. It's strengths on one side that you admire about somebody, and the other side is, um, yeah, objective critical feedback. But it always like surprises me when there's something that I didn't anticipate, because we also do those for ourselves, right? And sometimes we'll write stuff down for ourselves, but it's always fun to find one that I haven't written out myself, and then many people have said the same thing. And so I feel like a lot of times in life, like, we don't have many people that give us that feedback, and when we do, I think it's really important to maintain it. So fun fact, I used to give people $5 every time they gave me objective critical feedback. I just wanted to like create a system of people around me to and incentivize them to do that. So that was a fun little experiment.
Is that offer still on the table?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I didn't know that. I think you told me that before. Um,
Might be higher value now.
no, I know, right? No, we should all do that in the house. That's really cool. And then I would love for you to also explain everybody knows the Jim Rohn quote, of course, like you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, but you kind of took it even another level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I feel like in life, like, we don't perform at the level we necessarily um, practice for. We end up performing at our lowest level, that we're capable of. And I think like, yeah, being around the folks in the house, like, we don't have time to get noisy influences, like nobody's talking about drama or, anything that's not authentic, anything that's superficial. And it's constantly like positive, optimistic growth conversations. But I've also surrounded myself with, I have a relationship coach, an executive coach. My team, each person on the team has like 30 years more experience than I do in whatever area. And then Junto, which is a peer-to-peer mastermind group, but just continuous like objective critical feedback. I think that's it's been an accelerant to my growth, and
That's
especially like doing what I'm doing now. I feel like I grow so much I don't even recognize myself a year ago. So and like that's what I want, right? Like the worst feeling I had was when I was felt like I executed on all the feedback I was getting, but I was still not where I wanted to be,
mm.
and I didn't know what my unknown unknowns were. So um, I want to avoid that. When my peer group stops giving me feedback, I start getting anxiety.
Oh my gosh, I know. That's awesome. So let's talk about Monday night, our Monday night masterminds that are from 7 to 9. Most of the
Mhm.
guys have already talked about it, but I would love to hear kind of the structure and your takeaways each week.
I think the consistency is really important. Um, it like really helps us, just automatically preparing for that meeting. Gets me into a mindset of sharing, what's working well, what's not working well, where I need support. And I think it's super easy to ignore what's not working well sometimes at weeks at a time. And then for me, it's like, then I don't know how to ask for support or what to ask for support on. Excuse me, what to ask for support on. And it's blown me away every time I've, been struggling with something, like someone in the house has experienced it before, has an experience share, is able to connect me to multiple people, whatever it is. Like I never walk away, with a problem, and not and receive no support.
Yeah.
So and it's also really, I think, really important in the co-living sense to iterate on, how stuff in the house is going and the systems that we have. It's not easy to have a house with 6 people, especially 6 like A type people or type A people who all have, very specific focused needs. But having that regular cadence of meetings has been really helpful in addressing, communicating, and diffusing or improving and getting to what we call a group 10.
Awesome. And explain, I've made the other guys do it too. Explain a group 10 to everybody. And that's
Yeah, group
did you come
10.
up with this? Did you come up with the framework on group 10?
I don't remember. I want to say Chandler did.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a incredible housemate. But a group 10 is basically what would be a 10 out of 10 for all the housemates. And sometimes what would be a 10 personally might not be a 10 for everybody else. So it's like finding kind of like the best common positive solution.
Yeah. No, I've told a lot
Yeah.
of people about that, and they're like, and so because usually most homes it's like majority rules, right? And the other people are
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that sucks. But yeah, we always come up with like a solution where everybody's a 10 out of 10, and no matter what
Hmm.
the thing is, the issue or whatever.
No matter how many times I have to clean the garage.
Clean the garage. I know our garage. Our garage is like never 10 out of 10. Like for maybe 1 week, every quarter we have to clean it, organize it for sure. Even the RV trip we did last month, I think there was some convincing of a couple people. Like we're gonna get an RV for 8 days.
Yeah, I mean that was incredible.
Oh yeah, that was like an amazing, amazing trip. We had so much fun. I know I should have brought that up on all these interviews, like to talk about the RV trip. Okay, so we will talk about summer camp next. So explain
Sure.
summer camp and your favorite parts.
Yeah, I think summer camp is a rebranded, um, what is it? COVID. What was the word?
Quarantine.
Quarantine. Yeah. So I don't even think about quarantine anymore. Um, and so what was cool was like just that shift in, you know, languaging has turned, it's like we now like the opportunity that we see is like, how can we make this really fun? How can we connect, and what are cool things that we can do to, enjoy our time together versus being in a victim mindset and, suffering through it, through COVID. So I think some of the, you know, the fun things like the RV trip was super fun, right? Like doing things that we weren't able to do before, but even just like all of us spending more time together versus before. I feel like three of us were traveling at a time, and there's just like a lot of disconnects. Biking with the housemates, like mountain biking, and watching movies together, or like watching the whole Jordan documentary. It's probably something I wouldn't like sit down and watch myself, but it was so cool to share that experience. Um, just lighting fires and hanging out together. It's just been so much fun. Boating, so many cool things. It's been unreal. I've had more fun hanging out with the housemates during quarantine than ever before in such a concentrated period of time.
Yeah, no, everybody's brought up boating. That's everybody. That's
Yeah,
everybody's answer, which is really
game changer.
cool. Because I think that, again, I don't think any of us would even think to like have the time to do that, or like,
Yeah,
yeah. So that
but it's a
was,
great example of like the people you're surrounded by, right, and the mindsets that you have. And if we were surrounded by Debbie Downers, then we'd all be down.
yeah.
But instead, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, for sure. I know one day we should like write a whole list of like what we did during these 6-7 months, because it was like so many cool things. I mean, you had a cappuccino machine like collecting dust in the garage. You ordered
Yeah,
the part. We're making like lattes in the house.
pretty great lattes. Yeah, you've
Yeah.
mastered that art. You've mastered the art.
That was my quarantine hobby that I picked up, was how to be a barista in our house, which is fun, which is super fun. Cool. So let's see here. Next question is, I'd love for you to talk about the wine nights and the mastermind dinners.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely miss those. I think
No.
they were a big component to the house. The wine nights were essentially an opportunity for us to hang out with friends that we miss hanging out with during the week. People that we care about, but just have no time for because of our schedules while we're working. And so it was a great time to like bring together really cool people. And the positive unintended consequence there was like a whole bunch of really cool people came together. And then no matter where you go in the house, there's like a sparkling conversation, and it's hard to go from one to the other. And I think that for me definitely like recharged me a lot, gave me, and it kind of gets rid of that burden we have on our shoulders of like, shit, I didn't get to hang out with this person or that person. And so the connection goes up, significance goes up. And it's always like surprising how cool the conversations get, where we feel like we should have recorded a podcast, and we're just like standing between the stairs and the kitchen and the hallway talking. And I think it's about the quality of the people that come, and it's very spontaneous and just like really gets me fired up.
And we got like,
Mastermind
yeah.
dinners. Yeah, the mastermind dinners, I think we used to like enjoy introducing people within a similar industry. For example, if somebody's in real estate, I meet somebody in real estate, then I'd connect them. And then one day we asked ourselves like, okay, what if we just invited really cool people? It doesn't matter what industry they were, like there's no agenda. And the first time we did that, it was like such a amazing conversation. Um, all of these amazing people showed up that have like amazing accomplishments, but no one was like afraid to become vulnerable. And going around the table, we got to experience and learn from a variety of folks that were grateful to be there. Our chefs make awesome meals and announce it, and then afterwards, I think like for example, Eddie, he's a private equity guy, and like we've connected. He came to our clinic. He's almost like a mentor now. But so many authentic connections get made, and there's no environment to do that usually, right? And we were on Inc. magazine, and like now everybody wants to come to our mastermind dinners. And so I think it reminds me of Benjamin Franklin. He used to hold Junto meetings where he invited cool people from the community to like hang out at the bar on Fridays and talk about cool things and books. Um, I feel like, bringing investors there um, was really cool because now they're invested in multiple housemates, and it's just like one of those really cool niche things that I've experienced in my life where it's like so high value, incredible people come together, bond over food and vulnerability.
Yes, no, that's our favorite part. That's what's cool. We always want people to walk away from the dinner, thinking, hey, that was a really different type of event with some powerful questions. So yeah, Shiv's always so great about coming up with the vulnerable questions that everybody is open to sharing, which is awesome. Yeah, we've got a big dinner table. I'll definitely show a picture. Those listening on podcasts, definitely try to check out YouTube. Each of these episodes, I'm going to kind of plug in some pictures and some interview, we had a German TV station like did a 10-minute
Oh
segment on
gosh.
it. I know. I think I'm going to clip that in at the end so people can watch it if they want. It's so
Yeah.
hilarious. It was like a year ago. So yeah, no, that's cool. So we'll show some of that stuff. Okay. Next question is, the quarterly retreat, which we just got back from. We go up in the mountains, get an Airbnb. And so if you want to explain how those work.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I look forward to the most. Essentially, we're not allowed to be on our phones. Um, and what ends up happening is we have to set our time so that our teammates know we're not going to be available. And that also means like wrapping up all the critical tasks, and up leading up to the day we have to leave. It's funny, like even on the way there, my brain has opened up to like all these things that I've been wanting to think about but haven't had the time to, just because it's back to back, you know, living life by a calendar and emails and agenda. And I think that quote, working on the business, not in the business, it becomes real and helps us reset, reflect. We spend a whole day on reflection, which is super important. So we always get these really cool spots in like mountains and summits, or deserts where we can all be really comfortable and also like work really hard, spend time together doing reflections. Our chefs, take care of the food and everything, so we don't have to worry about any of that. But yeah, really, really reflecting on what went well, and this time we shifted it to like what affected our energy in a positive or negative way. Um, did we hit our goals or not? Looking at the wheel of life, which if it is imbalanced, then it's hard to function well. Um, and what tests we did that worked, where do we have our biggest failures, and then sharing that experience. Um, I feel like even though I really love the exercise of reflecting, until we create that intentional space when nothing can interrupt us and we're all working together on the same thing, I don't really go that deep, by myself. And so I think knowing other people are also doing the same thing, I don't question it anymore. I just go there and do it. But I remember at the beginning it was kind of hard to do, or I would get distracted. But we all have like a word when we feel other people are getting distracted. This time the word is pickle for whatever reason. um, but just to get everybody back on track, and it's so cool to be in a group where everybody holds each other accountable for a good shared goal where we're all gonna win. And then once we share those experiences with each other, that's exponentially helpful, because now we're learning really concentrated, valuable information from one another. And then the next day we um, focus on goal planning. And I think that the cool thing about that is like at the end of each day we share what we've learned, and I think we learn more about each other, um, and and then we do some real fun activities, hiking, etc., to really manifest our goal. Breath work, deep meditation, um,
Pizza.
and other pizza and other adventures that really help us get clear, nail our goals, like feel it in our body. What is it going to feel like to achieve those goals? And then come back really recharged to take on the quarter.
Yeah. And we even bring our puppy, Sierra, the Great Dane. We brought her on the
Yeah.
last couple. She's fun.
Yeah. She comes up with real good growth goals.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I know the answer to this already, but for our listeners and viewers, if you were ever to move out, what's your best guess on what the reason would be?
Hardest thing to do, seriously. Like,
Oh.
um, I have I've been dating an incredible woman and proposed to her, and it's funny because I'm so torn. I love spending time at the house, and then I also love hanging out with her. And she moved down here from LA, and I wanted her to have her own place. And then we had agreed that we'd move in together after she kind of had that experience. And that time is up, and it came and went so quickly. So, it's I've never had to decide between something that, two really good things like this and have it be so hard. Because the house is really special to me. Um, every single person there, I feel like I have a really strong connection with, and so it's hard to leave that environment. But I also have a really great time hanging out with Hiro, so my fiance.
But we found
So
a
it's
vacancy. There's a vacancy on the street. Me and Trevor are already looking for you. You guys can just
yeah.
move in on the street.
Well, yeah, down the street, of course.
Yeah.
But I think on that point, I think it's also important to like I have a really high standard of like who should replace any housemate that leaves, and the standard is that the new person should be able to raise everyone's game, and I feel like even with you, like we manifested you, right? And I think the universe can support in finding that person that can take everyone's game to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we just find, and Christian already came on the show 2 weeks ago. And, unfortunately he said he wants to move to the mountains and live by himself, which is totally understandable. He hasn't done that yet. And then we were like, oh my God, we don't like, how are we going to fill the spot? And now we're interviewing somebody this evening. So like, that might be a great
Yeah.
fit.
Well, it's such a good and rare experience. I feel like the house is a launchpad accelerator, right? Of just helping us hone in our habits and not having to worry about like cooking and like the day-to-day tasks that easily take up a significant portion of our lives, and that itself gives us like a strategic advantage against other folks in the same space or other entrepreneurs, because we get to invest our time into growth and learning and taking walks and making each other coffee and learning from one another's experience, right? So it is a special opportunity. I feel like I can go for like another 10 years.
You're gonna miss
um,
all the amenities. Come on now. I was just thinking we haven't listed them on any of the with any of the other roommates interviews, but like tell me if I'm forgetting anything. And this is gonna sound insane to people, but don't forget you can totally copy our model. And when it's 6 people, when you split all the expenses, it actually becomes really like affordable. So we have a laundry every week. They come pick up our laundry, do our laundry. We have house cleaning twice a week. We have a personal chef all week long for all our meals, massage therapist that comes every weekend. That was a new addition recently.
yeah,
Car detailer, who's amazing, comes details or washes our cars. A virtual assistant, which we can hit up on Slack, and she helps
yeah.
support the house. What am I missing? I know it's even telling people, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds crazy.
Personal trainer with Luke.
Oh yeah. And Fred's sauna in the
Um,
garage, a gym in the garage, a yoga studio. Again, that was
well,
quarantine situation. We had no choice but
yeah,
we had to make that during quarantine.
multiple shamans.
That's true too. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, it's been pretty epic.
Yeah, good little situation we've got. That's why you're right. It's
Yeah,
hard for us to any. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very special reason for any of us to want to move out of this situation.
yeah. It's hard, but it feels aligned.
Yeah.
But it's still hard.
For sure. I think out of the entire alumni, yeah, we figured this out. And I would love to count up, this house has been established for over 5 or 6 years now. And it was the first like co-living entrepreneur house in all of San Diego. And out of all the people that have been through this house, and I don't even know how many, if I even had a guess, maybe 50 total, because we'd even do monthly stays. And nobody's gotten engaged yet. So So you're the
Oh, that's
first. You're the
funny.
first. Yeah, there's not a
That's
single
hilarious.
person. And again, if everything's taken care of for you, you're like, well, do I need to settle down? I don't know. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
interesting. You're the first. Congrats. So that was
cool.
in July or August. That was August. You got
Yeah,
engaged.
August. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then you're moving in like April.
February 14th.
What? Valentine's
Yeah,
Day? You didn't tell us that on the retreat. You said April.
it's supposed to, I thought it was March, but it's February 14th. That's when the
Oh,
release is.
wow.
Yeah,
That's super close. But Valentine's Day, so that's cool.
yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Last question, Shiv, and thanks again for, I know you're super busy too. You're at your office, you're raising your A round. Last question for you is any words of advice to those who are thinking about co-living with others or they already are?
I think like I had a lot of concerns before I moved in, and none of those planned out. Like about personal space and all that stuff. But I think the um, best piece of advice is like select the best people. You can't compromise on having the best people. One housemate with the wrong energy throws the whole thing off, and so um, there's a lot of compromises. And if you have the right people in place, like in terms of values and alignment, I think everything just like flows and works.
No, you're exactly right. And I think in all these years I've been here, we only had to ask one person to leave because they weren't a fit. And that's a super difficult conversation to have, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
but it was the right move.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even the person, it was the person's pet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about somebody else even. So, yeah, because that
Okay.
one, yours happened before I got here. But,
But yeah, something like small like that can really throw the whole thing off.
yeah,
You don't want that.
no, for sure. And we're lucky with the dog. And I think because we got her as a puppy and we're all helping raise her. So she's been amazing. Because I know most
Yeah,
co-living homes that it's very difficult to have pets. It's very difficult. If somebody brings
yeah.
in their pet, maybe they're not trained all the way. I think that's what happened that last time. So yeah, we're lucky with Sierra though. She's the best.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good
Well, it's
stuff.
been super fun.
Yes. No, thanks for coming on this week. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy we made time for this, and I'm actually excited to see what the other housemates said on theirs.
Yes,
So check that out.
for sure. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Chrissy.
Bye. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. And keep in mind, we are on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And also, if you are a co-living community, you can reach out to us to be listed on the Kindred platform. That's KNDRD.io. It's a great way to showcase pictures, videos, virtual tours of your community. Also, we have a link in the show notes for our 3 books on co-living. You can also find one of them on Amazon.com if you'd like the print version. And lastly, a very quick shout out to our partners over at ISL Furnishings. They bring light to your vision and already work with some of the larger companies like Star City and Quarters. See you guys next week.